I don't even know what to make of this offseason. Mostly because I'm looking at some of the players that are doing the opting out of their options for the next year. I mean, it's honestly just blowing my mind to see these players who aren't all-stars opting out of their own option to where they're getting paid a good amount, expecting other teams to pick them up. Al Horford had already ended his discussion with the Celtics. He doesn't want to come back. He doesn't want to have to deal with the same situation he dealt with last year, which honestly he won't. Kyrie's not going to be there. He has no plans on coming back there. The team is going to be stronger for it. Tatum doesn't plan on going anywhere. Jaylen Brown doesn't plan on going anywhere. Everyone else on the Celtics team plans on working hard and playing strong for the next year. But Al Horford thinks that he's going to get a 4-year contract offered by any other team. He expects someone else to pick up his contract, and he expects to actually get paid even more in his next contract with whatever team he goes to. That's mind-blowing to me just because of the fact that I know Al Horford's game. I've seen him play with the Celtics. Yes, he brought a lot when it came to scoring. He played a lot of great defense. But at the same time, is he one of those players that you would pay extra money for, pick up his 4-year option, and bring him onto your team, knowing that you're going to have to take that away from your salary cap? I don't think it's going to be worth it. And then you also have Julius Randle, who already opted out of his option, and he expects to get paid $20 million by any other team. Now, he had a great year last year with the Pelicans. He definitely stepped up when the whole Anthony Davis situation took place, but it's still Julius Randle. It's still one of those situations where he is not an all-star. He's not even close to being ranked one of the all-stars, but he is a good player. But he expects somebody to pick up his option for $20 million for the following season. I can't imagine that that's going to happen. I imagine if he does end up going to a team, they're definitely going to negotiate that option down, or he's going to have to sign with a team that's not doing as well and hope that they just have so much money that they don't have to worry about next year. A lot of things are still shifting, though. The good thing that has happened out of this, which I'm still kind of confused about, is that the Grizzlies have traded Mike Conley to go to the Utah Jazz. Mike Conley is the Grizzlies. Like, that's their best go-to player. He is their all-star. He has always been a decent player. This last year, he has had his greatest outbreak when it came to scoring, and he led the Memphis Grizzlies to what they were this year. They were a formidable opponent. They were a hard opponent to beat for a lot of these teams, and that's even after getting rid of one Marc Gasol. And they still were able to compete. They still were able to do great things, but they traded him anyway for a deal that involves Grayson Allen. Now, for those who don't know who Grayson Allen is, he's a player that used to play for Duke. He's been shifted around a lot of different teams since he's been in the league. A lot of people didn't even believe he'd get to the league, let alone stay in the league for that long. But now he's going to be on the Grizzlies, and I suppose that that's going to be their option when it comes to scoring. He's a scrappy player. He knows how to score some, but he's not anything that you trade Mike Conley for. So it's confusing to me on why they even made that trade. It's confusing to me why a lot of these things are happening this particular offseason. Another thing that just came out was that Harrison Barnes opted out of his option with the Kings. That also doesn't make sense to me because the Kings are probably the only team that really want him, that are willing to pay him as much as they already have to keep him. And I don't know what he's trying to do. I don't know if he really thinks that somebody else is going to pick up that option, or if he thinks that the Sacramento Kings are going to pay more to keep him there. But with Willie Cauley-Stein, with a lot of the other players that are on there that are doing well, I mean, you don't really need him. You really don't need him on the team, and you definitely don't need him to take up any cap space for you to be able to get a better player that's going to bring more to the actual team than Harrison Barnes. If you don't know, Harrison Barnes started with the Warriors, won a championship with them, was traded to the Dallas Mavericks, ended up not doing too well with the Mavericks, and ended up then being traded over to the Sacramento Kings. A lot of things take place in that particular ordeal, but really when it comes down to it, he just wasn't a good fit. He wasn't a good fit for the Mavericks. He was a pretty good fit for the Warriors, but even with the Warriors, they had problems with his contract and negotiating what he should be paid. He wanted to get paid more. They didn't have enough, room in their cap space to actually pay him out for the following year, so they opted to get rid of him. He's not a bad player. He's just not one player that you're going to go after or seek after to be able to, bring a team a championship. And the Warriors didn't have to worry about that. They were already on road to get another championship with KD being there, Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, DeMarcus Cousins, Jordan Bell stepping up, all these people doing so well. They really didn't have to worry about keeping him there. Now, the really heartbreaking thing that is taking place with my Rockets is the fact that they're still fighting with CP3 on his salary and what he should be paid. For those who don't know, CP3 wants to get paid more. He wants a bigger role on offense. He feels that he's owed that. But we all know that CP3 is getting up there in years. He's not the same player he used to be. He suffered a lot of injuries. 2 years back, he was completely knocked out of the playoffs for it. Last year, he struggled with some of his injuries and rehabbing it. Wasn't the full player that we all thought he would be. And on top of that, he's in arguments with James Harden about how he should get more offensive play with the Rockets compared to how James Harden shot so much this particular year. Now, if you're anyone else who's watching the game, you see James Harden, you see everything that he actually did this year, you see that he's one of the MVP candidates, and you don't really question what he was doing. You don't really question how he was going about winning these games, because even on the nights where he did do bad, he had a great amount of assists to his other players like Gerald Green, like PJ Tucker, all these people who were able to go ahead and finish the three. He was dishing it off to Capella. He's thinking that he should get paid a little bit more, which he should, because he has honestly progressed ever since he's been in the league. This past year has been one of his best offensive plays. It's been one of his best defensive stops for all the different teams that they played. They put up a great fight against the Warriors this year just because of him in the playoffs. And I mean, you don't see any other teams like them bringing some kind of fight to the Warriors. It's confusing to me as to why this is all taking place now. I know that they didn't win the championship. I know that they got really close to just beating the Warriors and having almost an easy go when it came to the next round. Not to say that the Raptors wouldn't put up a great fight, but I still think the actual Rockets could have beaten that Raptors team, because there's too many offensive players, there's too many people shooting threes. Honestly, if we look at the actual NBA Finals for this year, the Warriors had a lot of injuries, a lot of people who were down. Even Steph Curry was suffering from like a minor knee injury while he was playing in these last few games. So it's not really fair to say that, the Warriors team that played the Rockets was the same Warriors team that played the Raptors. Yes, KD wasn't playing against the Rockets, but he still had a few good games in that particular series until he went down with that Achilles at the beginning of the finals. So a lot of different moving parts are taking place. A lot of teams are choosing these different things to do. The biggest thing that I'm seeing is the Lakers. The Lakers, they don't have the cap space that they thought they would have. They thought they would have at least $32 million to go find another great player to add to their team. It actually ends up being that they only have $24 million to pay. But if you think about the different things that could take place, Kemba Walker will negotiate a deal that's going to get him onto the Lakers if it means that he gets to play with LeBron and also Anthony Davis. Same situation goes with Kyrie Irving. I don't think that any of these two players are going to ask for more money in order to play on a championship caliber team. You have a lot of people who have drive. You have James, who's really vying for this next year to be his best year because he really doesn't have too many years left to give. And you also have Anthony Davis, who's definitely hungry for a championship. So the Lakers team, they're good right now with him, and also Kuzma. He doesn't have any more distractions. He doesn't have Lonzo Ball to kind of distract him. He doesn't have the, era of LA to really distract him. This whole year is going to be either he plays up or he's going to get shipped out to a different team. And he doesn't want to be like Lonzo, and he doesn't want to be like anyone else who got traded, away like Brandon Ingram to the Pelicans, because that's not a market in which they think that they can thrive. That's not a market in which they're accustomed to. They do like the limelight. They do want to have some attention, spotted on them. So this is going to be a year in which he's going to have to do his best. Kuzma's going to have to literally play his heart out this year to prove that he should stay on the team, because once they get either Kemba or Kyrie, they're not going to have anything else stopping them. They're going to be focused on the championship and that alone. They're going to be focused on beating the Warriors. They're going to be focused on the Rockets. They're only going to be focused on playing to a championship caliber. You don't get Anthony Davis on your team and not vie for a championship for that particular year, especially with Anthony Davis more hungry than he's ever been before, because he's not only going to have to prove that he can still play to the dominating caliber that he played last year, but he's going to have to prove that he is a champion. He's going to have to prove that all these years with the Pelicans, the only thing that was holding him back was that he didn't have the right team for it. You also have Chris Middleton, who opted out of his contract and is hoping to get something that's either higher than $13 million or possibly, get to a different team that may be willing to spare their cap space to get him on there, which I don't foresee that happening, really having anyone go for Chris Middleton. Yes, he is a great player. He can definitely shoot the three. He can drive at times depending on how his game is going, but he isn't really somebody you seek after either. Like, there's a lot of these different players who are opting out of their options, thinking that they're going to, be sought out by all these different teams, or thinking that they're just going to get paid a lot more if they take that chance and risk it to see what happens for the following year, when already the next year is guaranteed for them. It's just not making sense to me why they're trying to do it for this particular offseason unless everyone's vying to get to the Lakers to play with LeBron and Anthony Davis. Outside of that, we're going to have a lot of different things still take place. We still have the NBA draft that's going to come up. We don't know where everyone's going to go. RJ Barrett's going to be a great player for that. Zion Williamson's going to be interesting to see what happens with him. It's also going to be interesting to see what happens with Cam Reddish and Morant and all these other players that are going to come into the league. But we'll see what happens. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think is going to happen with all these different teams, with these options that people are trying to, increase. And I'll catch you guys later.